Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for Life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to the Diamond Perspective Panel Live Group. My name is Barbara J. Beckley, and it's another first Thursday of the month. This is the Love Month. It is February. It's also Black History Month, too. Still love, just shining light love on a particular culture and race. But we're going to talk about love for everybody tonight, not just particular cultures and races, because that all should come together and we should love each other, right? That's what I believe in. And hopefully by the time you get here and these wonderful queens that's going to be on this panel talking about love, loving yourself, loving others, and loving your clients. I always bring that aspect of the business because we talk about personal. I mean, with this show, we talk about some personal items or topics, but we also blend in a little bit of that business too, because I know a lot of you are sometimes looking for, on a business perspective, how would you look at? There is a love on a business perspective when it comes to your clients, be it good or bad. So we're gonna chime in a little bit on that, but I'm just so grateful to have these wonderful queens on every month to come on and discuss different topics, and we're gonna get deep into it. It's not gonna be no fluff. I mean, sometimes we get deep, but this time we're gonna talk about what is love in your mind. What do you think love is for you? What is that deep love that people talk about? I love you. I love them. We're gonna really talk into that a little bit. But before we bring on these wonderful queens, and I just don't like just plopping people up on the stage like that. I want to make sure we got to love on our sponsors. So I got to make sure that we love on our sponsors. And then once we love on our sponsors, then we will basically be on and talk about our subject about love. Be right back. Hello, queens, everybody. Oh my God, I'm loving. So I want to, one thing about it, we always kind of do an hour. We try to go a little bit over, but most of the time an hour. So I know everybody has so much love to give right now. Get it? Topic love. We got love to give. And I want to hear from everybody else. But before we do that, just to set some little guidelines. I hate to say rules. Rules sound like a ruler ruling you, but just some guidelines. We want to make sure we hear from everybody. So just look at the time, when you're responding. I know we all like to talk, and that's a good thing. When we got a lot of us here, we have to make sure that we respect each other's and, want to hear from everybody because we all have something to say. And people are chiming in already. Oh my God, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, look at that. Mr. Lauren saying good evening to us. And I think Dora, she's in Washington from Lauderdale by the sea. Oh, really, Dora? You're really going to do that to us? Yeah. I know that's a lot by the sea, but, people are watching. So before we start, I just want to make sure, just give the love to each other and make sure we give time enough for each other to talk about our topics and what we're going to talk about when we answer the questions. Now, before we start, I want you to introduce yourself, really 30 seconds, tell you who you are and, what you do, and then we'll just go into talking about the topic. So let me start off with, I'll start with Carol.
Okay. Well, I'm Carol Henderson, and I have Life by Design, and I help people to make the second half of life the best half of their life. And if you're not healthy and vibrant, it's hard to love on other people because you're so concerned about yourself. So let me help you with that.
Lovely, lovely Life by Design. I love that. Okay, let's do Miss Renee.
Hi. My name is Renee Bubetz, and I am a realtor. I do both residential and commercial. I'm in the San Gabriel Valley here in Southern California, and I'm excited to be here, and I hope you guys are all having a very blessed day.
Yes, I love that. Blessed day, yes. And we're going to talk about some love. I know Renee has some stuff to talk about, too. So, okay, Miss the other Barbara. BBs.
Hello. Hi, I'm Barbara Ellison. I'm a transformational life trainer. I work with baby boomers who want to age gracefully, because aging gracefully is not about trying to look like a 30-year-old. It's about trying to be the best ever version of you so that you can have the rest of your life be the best of your life. So that's me.
Transformational. Got it. Yes. And Mrs. Christina.
Hey, I'm Christina Shanti. I'm of Christina Shanti Ministries here in Louisville, Kentucky, and CFC Creatives. I love God. I am a mom. I am a wife. I am a friend, and I'm a sister, and also I'm a copywriter. And just want to help people evolve into what God has created them to do.
Yes, very important. What God created them to do. Yes. And myself, my name is Barbara J. Beckley. As you know at the beginning, I am a purpose and visibility strategist and social media coach. And I just want to make sure everybody understands how powerful they are of their own individual purpose and understanding that you light up the world in what you have and don't minimize it in any type of way because it was put there for a reason for you to help the world, not just yourself, but everybody else in the world. So with that said, let's get into the topic. So as everybody knows, Christina, you're new at this, but not for long because now you're family. I always, and Barbara knows this, I start off with a quote. And then I said, we just take it from there. So I'm going to share a quote and, we're going to just kind of go off of that and just talk about the love thing. So love is true when it comes from the heart, not from the mouth. Yes, so true. So, just kind of, while you're thinking of your thoughts about love, you can kind of look at that quote, you can go by that or something that you're thinking about. So I just want to put out there, and this is kind of going to this quote, that a lot of times, let's first start off with loving yourself, because like I said, there's three aspects we really want to get into tonight: loving yourself, loving others, and that can be family, friends, whoever, and then loving your clients. Because like I said, I like to bring some of the business aspect to it. And love can be there for clients. Some people don't agree with me, but you can have love for your clients. So let's start with loving yourself. So I want each of you to kind of give a scenario of how do you love yourself? What do you believe in love is for you? So let's start off with, I'll start with Barbara.
All right. I think for me, the biggest thing about loving myself is, number one, not comparing myself, but being present with myself sometimes. Like sometimes I truly believe that so often we get caught up in all the things that we are doing that we forget about being. And that, I think, is taking the time to be and to sit and be present with yourself and just being in tune with what, God, I mean, your God-given talent or, direction that we need to have in our lives. And that's one of the things that it's the biggest thing for me is take time. I try to take time every day to just be quiet, be present within me. Because everything everything outside is external, but our direction comes from inside.
Ooh, that's powerful. I love how you said that. You have to love yourself and stop looking at others. And I think we all have that in our lives. Either, we've done it before, or sometimes we still do it. We have to just be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we look that way and say, oh, there, and then we tend to move away from ourselves. So I love how you brought that out, Barbara. That's so important with that. Anybody else want to expound on that or talk about, your true love of yourself?
I just want to say one thing about that is comparing yourself. I mean, we get compared as children. I remember my mom comparing me to my cousins, or how come you don't do it like this one does it? Or, so I think we grow up with that. And we do look at others and think, how come we're not where they are? Or how come we don't have what they have? Or, many different ways we can compare ourselves. But that's really powerful. I like that one, Barbara.
Yes. Isn't it true that we come, like you mentioned it, Renee? Oh, Superman here. Hey, America Superman, how you doing? Welcome. Another on the board. So I was just, we're talking about love and ourselves right now. So you can chime in as we move forward. So Renee, I like how you brought that up because a lot of like you said, it starts when you're young. Right. I mean, I didn't have any brothers and sisters, but like you said, I had cousins and everything else. And the first thing, well, Barbara, you need to be like her. She does ballet better than you. I'm like, really? Can you just love me for what I do? But it was always that comparison. Even in school, sometimes the teachers would even make a mistake. You should be more like Rachel or whatever. I'm like,
exactly.
How about Barbara here? So that's good. So I want to go to Christina.
Barbara said something. She said the word being. For me, it makes me think of the scripture, Acts 17:28, that I stand on. How do I love myself? First of all, I know God is love and I'm created in his image. And Ephesians tells us that we're a masterpiece created by him. And Acts 17:28 says, in God, I move and breathe and find my being. So for me, and I even mentioned this last night when I was teaching last night, what Barbara said, for me, it's being cognitively aware that I am created in love. So in him, I move, I breathe, and I find my being. And so what Barbara said, that's pretty much what I stand on in everything that I do.
Awesome.
When it comes to loving myself and recognizing that I'm not loving me, but I'm loving the God that's in me, if that makes sense. I'm not God, but that I'm created in his image, and everything that I do, I have to do it in love. So that's for me daily, is knowing that I find my being in love, rooted and grounded in it.
Yes. Anybody want to comment on that or add to that? I love how you said, Christina, when you said, lives and breathes, and that's just so powerful to know that love is breathing. Like everybody has I know people have their own way of their spiritual religious walk, but a lot of us, we confess, I don't have a problem. I love Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit. So I understand, where she's coming from with that. I know a lot of you are understanding that too. By loving, that coming into you, it automatically puts the love in you. You have it in yourself because you're getting it from that other source. So amazing. I love what you said on that, Christina.
I also think it helps us to love more on others.
Yes.
I mean, that it's you talked about loving ourselves, loving our clients, loving our family and friends. That God's love for me, sometimes I have to stop and just be quiet for a second because maybe I'm irritated or something. And then I have to just pray, okay, Lord, keep my mouth shut. Let me say something great, right? Or not at all. But a lot of times it really changes my attitude. And then I'm able to be more loving to family, friends, clients, or what have you. So I think that was also very powerful, Christina. I like what you said.
Yes, wonderful. So I want to stay just a little bit more on, because I want to get Carol's opinion and America's Supermom regarding loving yourself before we get to the others. Because I know we can jump into that real quickly because it goes together. So, Carol, before we get to America's Supermom, Carol, what's your take on loving yourself and understanding how important that is?
Well, you can't love others unless you do love yourself.
That's
and
right.
so it is intertwined there. And we have to love ourselves enough to do what God has called us to do, to take the time to find our niche. And it typically goes back to when we were a child. What did you dream about? What did you want to be as a child? He puts gifts and talents in each one of us. And when we don't fulfill those gifts and talents, we don't love what we are. And, it says that the Holy Spirit indwells us, Christ within us. And basically, I tell people it's like we're Jesus with skin on. Not that we're Jesus, but we're the body of Christ. He's the head, we're the body, and we're his hands. Sometimes you may be the only Jesus somebody sees, but if you don't like yourself, it's hard to like them. So you have to put your oxygen mask on first.
I love how you said that, Carol, that you have to love yourself before you can love others. Because if you don't express your love for you, how are you expressing love for others? And I tell you, it's so easy to jump into the others real quick, but that's what you got to do. You got to love you. And I love how you said that, we're the closest thing to, what Jesus expressed all the time. People look at us. So to me, that's even like, okay, a commitment to myself to say, okay, I want to show others what love is. So I have to love me and show them that so they can love on them.
And everybody's watching you all the time, whether you think they are or not.
Got that right.
Especially kids, right, Supermom?
Oh yeah. Talk about Supermom. Okay, Miss Supermom. Talk about loving yourself real quickly.
Well, I am just really glad to be here, and excuse the background noise because we do have 10 kids still at home, and so it's sometimes Grand Central Station right in my office area. But I love what everybody has said. And I think one of the things that I just want to add to the conversation is, what stops us from loving ourselves? For many years, I was in this cycle of believing that what I was given was love, but it was coming from me feeling like I wasn't enough. And so it was the seeking validation from other people and feeling like my value was attached to the roles that I played. And so I think one of the biggest things that we can do to start to love ourselves is to forgive ourselves. Because for me, I was just really struggling with this perfection and feeling like if something wasn't right, then it was a reflection of me and me not being valuable. So I think the first step is really forgiving yourself from sometimes having these ideas that are just not obtainable, and so understanding that you can't give forgiveness to others if you don't give it to yourself first. And what you mentioned about love, you can't love others if you don't love yourself, because everything produces after its own kind. And a lot of times we wonder, why am I getting all these weeds in my garden? And we're not looking to the source of what it is that we're doing to put the weeds out there. So that's what I would add.
Well, and Barbara, I'd like to add a little bit to this, is that so oftentimes, and Barbara Ellison and I work in the wellness space, and so many times people curse their bodies and think badly of themselves because they're not tall enough, they're not short enough, they're not wide enough, they're not thin enough. And it doesn't matter what direction you are if you don't love yourself as you are. And it doesn't mean you can't improve. You can, we can always improve spirit, soul, and body. well, our spirits are perfect, but anyway, we can, we can go and strive to do better. But, so much as women, we curse our own bodies. And I look at it as, I think what a wonderful time it would have lived to be back when they didn't have mirrors. Think back when women in the prairie, the only time they saw themselves was in a pool of water. And you didn't know if your hair was a mess. You didn't know if your eyes were crooked, or those things didn't matter. What you saw of yourself was what other people reflected to you in their face, in their eyes, in their love. And so I think so often you couple the mirrors with the media that, airbrush pictures on the magazines, and, sometimes have people on boxes to make them look taller and thinner, and just all kinds of things like that we deal with. And it causes us, once again, to dislike ourselves, dislike our bodies, dislike, what we do in life. We're in a mold that somebody put us in, and we need to find who we really are and go back to that gifting and calling that was placed in us before birth.
And
go ahead, Christine.
And adding on to what Miss Carol said, and even what America's Supermom said about our image, for me, it's like that self-love when you have to come back and we go into the world and we see what the world says beauty is. But for me, self-love was also, what does God say I am? How does he recognize me? How does he see me? And that's why Ephesians 2:10, it stands out. I'm a masterpiece, created by the greatest artist who's ever lived and still lives. And then I had to go to and find myself in what the word says about me. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I mean, literally, everybody talks about, you hear people talk about their mantras, what they say to themselves, or some people say how they psych themselves up or pump themselves up. But coming across men and women and saying, but who does God say you are? He says you're beautiful. He says you're fearfully and wonderfully made, but then we have to see that for ourselves. Fearfully and wonderfully made. We're masterpieces. I love what he says in his scripture, that he honors us and he loves us. For me, that's self-love. Sticking to what you just asked us the question, Barbara, about what is self-love. I love what everyone says, because we can all marry it together, and it seems like all of us are still flowing in the same cadence of what we believe self-love is. I think this is powerful.
Yeah. I wanted to go back, Barbara, before you say something, I wanted to go back what Carol said too, and thank Christina for bringing that point. When she said, people put people will put you in this category of what you're supposed to be. And I want to say, is it really people putting us in that category? Or is it us putting ourselves in that category because what they said that they think we should be? So that's something to just think on, to pause. And I want us to pause on that for a minute and let Barbara say what she's going to say before we keep moving.
Well, one of the things for me that I work with my clients pretty much right from the beginning is like, I'll do like the personality test with them. And then it's like, okay, so these are your strengths. This is what you're not quite so good at. So now the things that you're not quite so good at, we are going to decide at some point maybe to try to improve that. But we are going to not look at them anymore, because we are going to stop at beating ourselves up for the things that we're not. And we are going to celebrate the things that we are. Oh, you mean I can stop beating myself up that I'm not, which is exactly what you just said. We so often take on other people's expectations of who or what we should be. So let's stop that. Let's celebrate who you are. What are your gifts, talents? And then, as a friend of ours says, just be perfectly imperfect. And let's go forward. And it's like, oh, can I do that? Yeah, let's start there. We have to start there.
Yes, definitely. So anybody want to comment a little bit what Barbara said? Any thoughts on that real quickly? I want to say before we get to the others, because I want to get to that a little bit, loving on others, want to give some love, get it? Want to give some love to our sponsors, and we will be right back.
When you do nothing, nothing happens. Best time to take action is now.
This is the time to work on you and your business.
So I've created a group,
an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you
to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
See you in Power Partners.
Okay, now that we showed the love for the sponsor, let's go back to the conversation about love. So now we talked about loving yourself. Before we start talking about loving others, because that can be, I want to talk about, okay, you know, we say, oh, just love everybody, but there's some ways sometimes when you don't feel like loving everybody, and I want to hit that too, because we're all not perfect. Well, I know okay, let's just put me. Sometimes I miss the mark on that, I'm just being honest. So I know that can be a challenge. But before we start with the others, I want America's Supermom to introduce herself because she didn't get to do that since she, you know, and I want to make sure people know who she is.
Well, thank you so much, Barbara. I always love these conversations because, you know, they really help us to think and reflect. But I am Lachelle Atkins, also known as America's Supermom. My husband and I have 15 children, and my platform is mental wellness. I have taken the experience and journey of creating a signature coaching program from 13 years of depression and 3 hospitalizations in my own life. And so I now work with women to help them navigate through the chaos of overwhelm, burnout, depression. The list can go on, but turn that into clarity and confidence with a smile. So I am happy to be here today.
And I'm happy that you're here with all the nice queens. So with that said, we want to let's get right into talking about loving others. Now, I'm going to go back to that, the quote that I had, just to kind of, you know, put that on the foundation a little bit, where it says, love is true when it comes from the heart, not from the mouth. Mm-hmm. There's been many times that people have told me, oh, I love you, Barbara, I love you. And they say it like it's just, you know, let's just put it out there. And I'm like, do they really understand what they just said? Do they understand what the love means? Or they just throwing it out there because everybody just says it. Oh, I love you, bye, I love you. And then, you know, whatever. So let's talk about loving on others. Let's talk about when we hear that and how it sounds to you. Let's go with Carol first. Go with Carol.
Okay, I'm going to be a little contrarian here. Okay, Jesus tells us to love everybody, but he doesn't tell us to like everybody. Mm-hmm. There are some people that you may not like. You have to love them and hope that they do make it into eternity. But also, there are times, even in close relationships, you have to set some boundaries, because the people can be toxic to you. Mm-hmm. And it's something that you have to protect yourself and your walk with God. And if they're continually, well, it's like an abuse situation. You know, we wouldn't expect well, I take that back. I've had people tell other people to stay in an abusive situation where the husband beats them. And they said, oh, you have to do that because you married him. Well, you know, if he's beating you, if he's running around on you, if he's abusing your children, you know, sometimes you have to set some boundaries and say, you know, I love you enough to not let you be around me and the children because it's going to get you in trouble. So here's the boundaries. You cannot come here anymore. And so I just want to lay that out there, because we've gotten into, my husband and I have called it sloppy agape. Oh, it doesn't matter what they do. God loves them. Well, yes, he does. But he does not always condone some of the actions that we see in society today. And so there needs to be and can be some boundaries. And we have to be strong enough and love ourselves enough to set those boundaries sometimes. So I just wanted to kind of get that out there before, you know, so people don't think we're saying put yourself in a dangerous situation to love this person. You know, I mean, you don't want to walk into the middle of a riot and tell these people that are throwing Molotov cocktails, I love you. You know, that's not the time or place. God will set it up, and he'll send somebody across their path to say that to them when they're in the mind to hear it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to make sure you're protecting yourself. I mean, you don't want to get into situations where it might cause harm. So you have to make sure it's the right timing, you know, to do it. And like you said, you got to sometimes you got to set them boundaries. I love you, but I can't, you know, it's a toxic thing going on here. And I have to make sure that we're all going to be protected, not just me. So that, I mean, when you think about
it. But it's like a friend that you used to maybe hang out in the bars with and drink with, and you love them. They're your best friends, but when you get together, it's like oil and water, and you get in trouble. You know, sometimes you have to set that boundary and say, well, I'll Zoom call with you, but I can't go out and have a drink with you. And so, I mean, there's a boundary, and you still care for them and you still love them, but there's a boundary there that keeps both of you from falling off the cliff.
Yeah. And I want some other people to talk about that. But before, I want to just welcome Dora. She's watching us and she's putting her suggestions, her comments, which I love when the audience talks to us too, because they have things to say. And she said, you know, I say you love them, but not agree or tolerate their behavior. Right. So that's something to think about. I love what she said about that. She said something, love unconditionally with kindness and caring and forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because me and Pastor Christina, we was talking about forgiveness this other day, just last night, as a matter of fact. So yes, so I love what you brought up, Carol, about that. You have to really be in that mind frame to say, okay, what's going on, and knowing when certain things are. And like you said, certain boundaries might have to come up. So with that, anybody else want to talk more of what Carol said, or talk about more about loving others in their own way?
Can I say something about loving yourself? Because I only said something to add on to the others, but I didn't say anything about mine. May I speak on that for a moment?
Yeah.
I want to say everybody had such profound things to say, which were all amazing and wonderful. But for me, self-love is all of the things that you guys have said. But in addition, it's doing things that really make me feel good. Like I go and get myself a massage, or I take myself to the movies, and I do something that's fun, that gives me a break from work. It clears my mind. Last week I did a Tony Robbins seminar. I do things that I feel are really important for me, for my education, for my wellness, for, you know, just giving myself a break. And nobody spoke about what we do for ourselves, going, getting a pedicure, going, you know, just doing something that makes you feel good, and it's self-love to you and has nothing to do with all the other things, or maybe it has a little to do with everything. I don't know, but that was just something I wanted to add on that.
It's called
that comes back to the self-care is not selfish. You must do self-care.
You have to, in order to continue to work with all these people and show them all this love, you need to take care of you too. So
yes,
you can't pour out of an empty pitcher.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you, Renee, for bringing that up, because that's very important. I always remind myself and others that I talk to, hint, of SC.
It is. It's super. I love the massage thing. That kind of gives me a reset.
I even start with that, because when you said massage, I'm like, woof.
Yes, exactly. I need one now.
Yeah.
But I go for hot rocks treatments.
Yes.
And they're absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
So I see we need to do another month of talking about self-care. I see that right now.
There's a lot. There's, you know, you talk about just grounding yourself when you're having a really bad time. For me, it's going to the beach and listening to the waves crash and finding that place in me that, you know, I can, if I'm sad, or like this in the month of January, the first week I lost 8 people. And it was really, really, really tough. And I took myself to the beach, and I sat there for an afternoon by myself and just cried and vented and talked to God, and, you know, everything and anything I needed to do. But that was my way of showing self-love for what I was going through, because it was so, you know, horrendous.
I love you brought that out, Renee. And just before we get back to loving others, I love how you said what you had to do. Everybody has to find their way to deal with situations in their life. if it's, listening to some nice music, if it's going to the beach, talking to, God, being in that, serenity. We all got to pick what we love, like we're talking about love, and help us through it. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times, when things happen, everybody has their own way of doing that. And you have to respect the person, how they show their self to get through it.
How they deal and cope with it. Right.
Cope with it. So thank you for expressing that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yes, lady. Okay. So let's get back to others, loving others. So Miracle Supermom.
Yeah, I'm loving what everybody's saying. And I think one of the things that comes to mind for me is removing judgment. A lot of times judgment is for ourselves and thinking, am I good enough? What are they going to think about something that I say or do? But when you remove that, it really puts you in a space to where you can give to people unconditionally, because you're not looking for them to validate or even reciprocate what you do. You're really just putting it out there and trusting that God is going to harvest that seed that you're planting, that seed of love, and we don't always have to understand how it's going to come back to us, but understanding that we are surrendering to Him and His will, because, there's so many tests that we go through every day, from maybe somebody driving next to you on the road, or someone at the checkout, or all these different things that could happen at a moment. Just being mindful that love is not feeling like somebody has to fit into our mode. We can sometimes think that, yeah, I can love this person as long as they're doing what I want them to do. And the minute they go left, then it's like, we don't want to be bothered. And, I learned this every day with my kids, because, you got all different flavors and personalities, but just understanding that it's not about us, but it's about us showing God's light, and understanding that the things that we give to others, He is going to be the rewarder of that, not people. And so when we move past that, then we're able to give with such a cheerful heart, understanding and having gratitude about the ability to be able to do so, that we won't be looking for some of those things that maybe we have looked for in the past to try to fill us up, that really are just something that will always keep you on that roller coaster of chasing this or chasing that.
Yeah. Anybody want to add to Barbara?
One of the things for me too, and it goes just along with that of giving to others, is sometimes we give of ourselves, but we expect something in return. I think true love for other people is when you just give with absolutely no expectation of ever getting anything back from them. Because sometimes it might not come from, sometimes I truly believe that sometimes we can do something, and the person that we do it for or to or with, or whatever it is, they might not be the one that it's meant for, but they might pass it along to the person who is, and it becomes like a ripple. And that's when I think, when we can just give out of our abundance, or give out of, just of our love and our personality, or whatever, however we're going to give something. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, as Carol always says, it could be just as simple as a smile. Smile at a stranger. You never know what impact that little gift of, with no expectation of whether they say hi back or whatever. I say hello to people. If they say hi back, great. If they don't, oh well, that's okay. I said hi. I'm a person that says hi.
So true. I mean, it could be, like you said, a simple card. We had Barbara and I are in this company together, send out cards.
Right.
And so one of the members of the company had this card that they sent to the pianist at the church. And the pianist at the church, always played well and everything. And so he just had it on his heart to send her a card. And so she had just one day, she was really frustrated. the phone was ringing, and she had just really had it to hear with people calling and just complaining about, why didn't you do this song or whatever. And so she went to the mailbox first, and in the mailbox was a card from the person from the company that just said, I just want to show gratitude. You always have a pleasant spirit. You're playing the piano, and not looking for anything to return, but it just really blesses me. And she just cried, because she felt like she was unappreciated. She felt like she heard more negative than positive. And so you just never know what impact you could do for somebody, whether it is that smile or, just saying, I appreciate you, for what you're doing. So
just saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saying thank you.
Well, and I can't tell you the stories that Keith and I've heard over the years in ministry of people saying, I was ready to commit suicide and somebody did this or somebody did that. And it was just a kindness, whether it was a smile or a card or something that stopped them in their tracks, or inviting them somewhere, even as little as somebody inviting someone on to see this show. It can impact people's life because it gives them hope. And it just takes a little, a candle doesn't put off much light, but it still dispels the darkness. So it can be a little thing that you see as, oh, well, I sent him a card, or I smiled at that person, or, my husband's favorite thing, especially at the holidays, but it's to go and drop money, a 20 or a 50 in the grocery store, and then, not let anybody see it. And then the person, I think of one lady that was in a wheelchair and had a little boy with her, and you could tell they were not going to have a good holiday meal. And he did that and said, oh, y'all dropped something, and everything. And they don't know that it was from him, but it's so fun to watch because it's that little glimmer of hope. And, you may not have $20, but you got to smile. And so, little things like that can make such. I look at some of the ministries like Joyce Meyer, in case y'all may or may not know who she is, and they go and they set women up in businesses in foreign countries, a sewing machine, and they're able to feed their family by sewing for the community because someone gave them a sewing machine. Or a boat for a fisherman. They did that after the big tsunami over in Sumatra. And, $50 makes such a difference in their life. And, the people here, if we all gave 10, there's a boat for somebody, and so it's us coming together to do a kindness. And like I said, a smile is free, and that can be all they need. It can be all they need to make their life better. Or it could be a sewing machine.
Well, I want to say, before we move on, I want to ask Christina on her take on other and talking about love. But before then, I just want to tell everybody, I love you all. I love you.
I love you too.
I love Carol. I love Renee. I love Barbara. So I just want to put
we all love you too.
We love you.
Yeah. We love you.
And we are so grateful that you have put together this Diamond Perspective.
Yes, with the help for everybody. It's not just Barbara, it's all of us. So what that says, look at somebody said a big hug. We got some hugs here.
Well, okay. And Barbara Beckley, look at, you started this, and then Barbara became your co-host, and then she became my co-host, and look at what you started and how it's grown out and the impact. And now not only do we have three shows on Facebook, we have 3 on YouTube, and we're trending up at the top, and we're getting ready to start another channel to tell what we really do in our business, because these are just inspirational shows. Thank you extra.
I want to add one thing to that, if I may, and that is that I try to remember that everybody has a story. And some days when you may not be feeling like you want to be super lovable. Maybe you've had a bad day and, and somebody says something smart to you. I try to take a deep breath and remember that you don't know, like Carol was saying, you don't know what these people are going through and how close somebody is to, suicide or any of these other things. And your comments, your comments, what you say and what you do somebody else can have a reaction to that may not be the best. So I try to be very careful and remember that we all have a story. Yeah. And sometimes when people are being mean, it's because they're just really sad and they just don't know how to respond, and try to say something and lift them up. And sometimes they're surprised, like, wow, I was mean to you and yet you're going to, speak to me. Something like that. I think that helps.
That's a big, huge thing. But we're talking about stories, so I want to hear it back. I don't know if it's me or can everybody put this on mute real quickly? I just want to make sure we can hear. Okay, there we go. Testing. Okay, I got test. Okay, so can Christina put herself off mute because I want to hear her take on loving others. I want to make sure everybody gets their take on it.
For me, loving on others, it starts with, it's just real simple for me. Everything that I do, I know that I'm doing it. I have to do it as though I'm doing it unto the Lord. That's Colossians 3. That's one of the foundational scriptures for our ministry. I co-pastor a church with my husband. But then after that, it's what is my motivator? Everything that everybody just talked about, what's the motivation behind it? And it should be love. Love should be your motivator. Faith should be the activator. Because everything that we're doing by faith. Even if you're going self-care, even how you think about yourself, what you say about yourself, how you love yourself, you're still doing that by faith. But then our actions, why are we doing it? Why are we giving the smiles? Why are we dropping the money? Why are we serving? Why do we show up and do what God has ordained us to do or whatever? But what is the motivation behind it? And for me, that's love. Love is my motivator. Faith is my activator. We've taught our children that. I homeschooled for 12 years successfully. My children are university students getting ready to graduate. We started a homeschool enrichment program. And one of the things that we told the students, even to the parents, our motivation behind any and everything that we do is love. Is love your motivating factor behind it? And when love is the push, love is the motivator, once you've released it, Miss Barbara said it, then you're not expecting anything in return because you've done it in love. And if you get something in return, that's just the harvest from the seed that you've sown in whatever it is you gave. It could be a monetary value. It can be a smile. It could be a hug. It can be whatever, but for me, it's love being the motivation, the push behind it, and remembering, and it goes back to whose image am I made in? Everywhere that I go, I'm an ambassador of Christ. So I'm representing him. Someone said, I believe it was Miss Carol, when someone encounters you, they're encountering Jesus. You don't even have to say his name to show his essence and his character. And God is love. So that for me, caring for others and doing for others is my motivation. What's the motive behind it? You know what I mean? What's the motive? Why they really give it to you? What they give you that money for? To turn around and brag and say, oh, you know what I did? Those are my good deeds. But was love the motivating factor behind it? So that's me. Barbara knows that's something I stand on firm. And even with forgiveness, someone brought up forgiveness. One of the comments was about forgiveness. It takes love to forgive. It takes loving yourself to first say, I forgive myself. Just love being that motivating factor in everything that I do, and choosing to cognitively be aware of it 24/7. It's a choice. You have to choose to want to walk in that. You have to choose daily to die to flesh and be in my feelings or my emotions. I'm having a bad day or what type of moody day. But at the end of the day, that also speaks to say, who governs you? Is it the Holy Spirit or is it your flesh? But that's just my my motive behind, loving on other people is making sure I'm doing it unto God.
I love it. Love it. I love what you said. What is motivating you?
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask yourself that question. Every time, I know for myself, if I'm helping others, being it monetary or just voluntary or just like I said, doing the smile or whatever, I never think about, okay, I did that, so put another check mark. Barbara did this for them. Barbara did that. It's not even about all that. It's not. What are you motivated to do? And I say it just comes. It comes out of you, just like you said.
Because truth be told, just think about. I apologize for interrupting, Barbara, but truth be told, think about when God tells you to do something that you don't want to do. Think about when he calls you to serve somewhere, he tells you to move somewhere, he tells you to start a company, or he tells your ministry to do this, and you really don't want to do it. And you're like, I don't want to go over there. Talk about still being in our flesh. But then when it's, wait a minute, I'm doing this unto God. And my motivating factor behind this has to be love. And wherever he places me, wherever I go, whatever I do, if it's in the grocery store or whatever, make sure I'm rooted and grounded in love. And guess what? That'll keep us quick from being in offense, because people are going to offend you. People are going to make you mad. They're going to say all types of crazy stuff to you. But when you know you're rooted in that love, man, it should roll off your back like water off of a duck's back.
Good point. Wonderful. Ooh, see, I hate these conversations. Then the time comes. I'm like, Well, Queen Christina, thank you so much for bringing that out, for your take on that. And I know everybody felt that. I felt it. I believe in what you're saying, because, like I said, we always talk about it, and in the ministry too. Oh, here's some other people coming on. There's Dora again. Hey, Dora. For me, it's gratitude, and it's just feels so good. I love how she said that. It just feels so good just to love on others. We didn't really get to loving on clients, but what I would love to do, just if one person could chime in on that, and then what I want to do after that is I want everybody to go around so you can let people know how to contact you, because like I said, I know this is a full panel, but each and every one of you shows love in your own way in your business, what you do. You have services, you have other shows, like Carol said. So I want to make sure that you get that out there so people can reach out to you, and I want them to show them the love to you. So regarding love with clients, if I can get one person just to comment a little bit, just 30 seconds to comment on what you see in that when it's talking about loving on your clients. Anybody? I want to pick. Okay, there you go, Renee. Okay, you're on mute. Okay, she's on.
Trust for free. So did you hear me?
Yes, I had to take you on mute. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I do for my clients, is I give them a living trust for free when they buy and sell with me. I do different things for them. Sometimes I buy them a really nice gift if I haven't given them a trust, if they only do one side. But there's always things that you can do to show your appreciation to your clients. I just think it's a great way to let them know that you are grateful, that you appreciate them, and that they're important to you.
Yes. Awesome. I love how you do that. You show that. That's a little extra. That's the uniqueness of what you do for your client. And think about that. You all have a uniqueness of yourself to show that uniqueness in your clients. And guess what? They see that and they want to do business with you, and they want to promote you, and they want to, be around that type of atmosphere for their service of what they need from you. So that's right on the topic on that. Now I want to throw something, and then I want to get everybody to, to tell how they can contact them. Now with clients, sometimes you have those clients that we talked about that last month about sometimes you got to fire your own client. I had to fire it myself. But see, I'm going to say, Carol, you're right. But I show love, and how I show love, and we all talked about this. I moved them in an area that maybe somebody else would be able to help them in the service or products that they needed. But I had to also be cautious, because I didn't want to give nobody else a headache either. So I needed to make sure that if I am going to give them the love to somebody else, give them some love, that, I want to make sure I'm being fair to the other person I'm referring them to. But just showing the love by saying, you know what, maybe this is not working out with us. Maybe I'm not the one. Maybe Christina's the one, or maybe America's Supermom or Barbara. And I know what they do in their services. And that's why we need to know from each other what we do, what our genius, what our expertise is, because that's when we start referring and we can give that love to others, because we know what Christina does, Carol, America's Supermodel, Renee, and Barbara, and the other ladies within the Diamond Perspective, so we can share each other's expertise, because you never know what client needs what. And it might not be from you. And don't get upset if it's not you. You're just not the one. They resonate more with that person. I'd rather for them to go to the other person and go what their need than sticking with me, and then we're struggling. So just to sum that up with that. And thank you again for coming on the panel. We're going to go around. I want everybody to tell how they can contact you. And I want people, and put it out there, I'm suggesting, not telling. People got on me about, Barbie, you can't tell people what to do. I'm like, okay. I'm suggesting that you reach out to these wonderful queens of what they do and their expertise. So I want to start with Christina, and then go just around and just say how they can contact you.
They can contact me at pastorchristina3@gmail.com or kshanticopywriter@gmail.com.
Amazing. Thank you, Queen. And Miss Carol?
You can reach out to me at Life by Design, Carol Henderson at Gmail. Or please, and if you do, put in the subject line Diamond Perspectives, because I get a lot of stuff and I hit the delete button a lot. But anyway, so, and also you can go to wellness.Atom, ATOM, connects, CONNECTS.com. It's my digital business card, and it tells all the different things that I do. And just to let you know, I do look for people to come on our podcasts, and would love to invite and Barbara's been on. Barbara Beckley's been on. Barbara Ellison's always on. But you other three ladies, I would love to invite you to reach out and come on the call with us. It's a motivational thing and or second half of life. So anyway.
Yes. Miss America Supermodel? Oh, she on mute. We're playing with the mute button.
I know. Again, I want to thank you so much for having me. And they can just simply send me a message in the comments, because I'm pretty much everywhere. But one thing I will say when it comes to clients that we can do is remember other people that are less fortunate. This month, I'm raising awareness for pancreatic cancer. That's a charity that I am helping to raise money for a walk in April. So even just thinking about another charity or something that you can connect with your clients on to help them learn how to give, because sometimes we can just get caught up in all the hustle and bustle of life and the needs that we have, that we forget about others. So I just wanted to add that, and thank you for having me.
As always, thank you. Miss Renee?
That was very powerful. I agree. The way to get a hold of me, I have a website that is my name. It's reneebubetz.com, so you can see how my name is spelled there. And like she said, you can leave a comment here, so Barbara would, I'm sure, be able to give it to us. And Barbara, I wanted to say thank you as well for having me on. I really appreciate it, and all these other guests. And I think that it's really important to share all these things so other people can have a different perspective, perhaps.
Yes, thank you for saying that. You did the title, Diamond's Perspective panel. Thank you, Renee. Okay, Miss Barbara, the other Barbara. You're on mute. You're on mute. Okay, we're playing with
yeah, I'm Barbara Lunan Ellison, and LinkedIn, or you can also check out my digital business card. It's a bit.ly link, bit.ly/myzcard. And so you can check it. You can make appointments with me there. You can check out and see what we do and all those kinds of things, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just send me a direct message and I will answer.
Wonderful. And I want to just, since Dora wasn't in the room with us, but she's been talking to us, and I just want to show her some love out there and what she does. She's a retired dentist, and Children's Dental Health Month, she said. And then, I didn't know that. Thank you, Dora. and she loves to write and has a children's book on Amazon, Rupert Winston Gotcha Day. So everybody show her some love out there to Miss Dora. And
I've seen that book.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's another book. Oh, she's doing this. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, she understands about visibility. That's what I'm talking about. You go, Dora. So for myself, my name, again, you can reach me really anywhere, like Super America Supermom says, but under Barbara Beckley and the Diamond Factor Experience on Instagram. But Dora said, she wanted this, I love you. I love everybody. Okay. I was on people show look, because this was about today is about love every day, not just today. So I just want to just let everybody know, thank you again, Queens. And you know, I always call the Lady Queens because I look at you as royalty. I look at you in your individual special gifts and expertise that you have. And that's one thing that, you know, that's the love that I brings out of me, because I want you to know always how special you are. And that's why I love this Diamond Perspective panel. So let everybody know, next month, we come on every month, first Thursday of the month, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern, and all the other time zones. I always say, look it up, because that's a lot of other things now.
4 o'clock Pacific.
Say 3 o'clock. Thank you, Renee. You can help me with the time zones. But we're here every Thursday, you know, first Thursday of the month. Next month is International Women's Month. Oh, wow. And I gotta think of a good. You ladies, come on, help me out now, because it's not just about me. So if you think of a good topic we can talk about for Women's Month, that is going to be powerful. But one thing that we will never get away from talking about is showing the love.
Yes.
So this is one thing that I just want to just put that out there again. We talked about, because it was, you know, it was February, you know, all that stuff. But no, love should be in your wheelhouse every day, all the time in life. Mm-hmm. So with that, I want to say, good night, Dora. I'm telling you, she's with us. Ladies, thank you so much. I hope to see you all next month. Make it your best to hopefully you can show up for the panel. And as I always tell people, always shine your purpose. You are a world changer, and you're a lighthouse to the world. See you all next month.
Thank you, Barbara.
God bless you. Bye-bye.